And it's 8s again, and this is the Thames Cup for Club Men's 8s. And what do we got here? It's Tyne Amateur Rowing Club in the black and white on the far side, and in the gold, it's Minerva Bath Rowing Club. Already underway. Oh, fierce start there, both crews.
Yeah, a cracking start from these two crews, and there's a sense of deja vu about this. We got this in the first round of the Thames Challenge Cup last year as well. Tyne against Minerva Bath, and on that occasion it was Tyne Amateur Rowing Club, the men from the northeast, who came out on top, and that is certainly something that these Bath R.C athletes will be all too familiar with, certainly not wanting to taste defeat again.
So the Thames Challenge Cup, our hard-fought, long-standing race for Club Men's 8s, always super competitive. It's been run since 1868. We had 40 entries this year, and these two are already battling really hard to stay on terms. Bath Minerva have been dropped a little bit at this point. They've got to really focus now on getting into their rhythm. It looks like they're finding the water a little bit tricky there as well. Can you see just kind of a little bit of swirl, a little bit of wash, a little bit of wave to cut through? Well,
we can see that flag that's just gone out of shot in the background is fluttering away. And it's windy out there on the course. We can't quite feel it in our commentary position, but it's bouncy out there, it's wavy, there's a headwind, there's a crosswind to contend with at the moment, so it's certainly challenging conditions for these athletes.
You can see the flags as you go down the course. Another one there, you're right to point out the headwind, and actually sometimes the headwind can be stabilising. It just gives you a little bit more of a setup in the boat, means that you have to kind of hold on to that finish of the stroke, the last bit before the oar is extracted, and if you do that well, then it pays a dividend, but if you're not quite together, then it can be challenging. Looks like the water's a bit more settled in this race as we look back down the track at the historic Temple Island. We can see how beautiful this straight course is at Henley. 1924, the channel on the right of the island there was dug out a bit to allow us to have a totally straight course, which then became the model for the 2,000-metre courses we see all around the world. And it looks like they've settled now into quite a nice rhythm, a little bit more control, but still very powerful, quite powerful in the back end of the stroke here.
Yeah, it certainly is. Stroked by Anthony Buchanan there. Coxed by Maisie Swindell's the 26-year-old, she's going to be so proud of her Tyne boys at the moment. Out in front, they're doing exactly what they did last year, out in front of Minerva Bath Rowing Club. And at this point, Minerva Bath are going to be doing everything they possibly can to ensure history doesn't repeat itself.
So here we are live, picking it up down the course, and yeah, Tyne have pushed out a little bit further. You can see some of that early effort showing on the faces of some of the athletes in the bout of the Tyne Rowing Club crew there. Just looking at the face of Anthony Buchanan, you mentioned earlier, and Joseph McConnell in the 7th seat. That is the rhythm section of this boat. They're the people who have to set the pace, the length, and how they move in the water, and it's the others to link that up all the way through the 8 young men in this Tyne Rowing Club crew, ranging in age actually from 21 in the 7th seat, that's Joseph, right through to 37, Christopher Barwick at 4, and in front of him Ian Shipley, 44 years of old. And I think I read in my notes that Ian is the boss of one of the other athletes in the crew here, so there's some interesting dynamics going on, right?
Yeah, there certainly is. I think it's both of Adam Azzi, who's actually gained his PhD in molecular biology earlier this year. So yeah, a fantastic dynamic to have both of those guys in the crew together. And out in front, leading this heat of the Thames Challenge Cup.
Well, at a molecular level, it's much more comfortable to be in the Tyne Rowing Club crew, isn't it, at this stage? Confident and probably able to kind of take down the intensity of their work. They'll be working through the race plan, just thinking about the calls they're going to make, where the markers on the course are. And their heads need to still be in this race. They don't want to make any mistakes. We have seen crews make mistakes and get overtaken, but right now they'll be just thinking about calmly controlling the race and thinking about the process of the remaining few hundred metres of the course.
And this Tyne crew, part of a large contingent that have travelled down from the northeast of England. We've seen some outstanding performances from their Y-fold 4, beating Lee in the first round, beating Molesey in the second round. And on the women's side of things, they've won their opening heat of the Wargrave Challenge Cup, and it looks like their men are going to be doing exactly the same thing here again. A cracking opening couple of rounds of Henley Royal Regatta for Tyne Amateur Rowing Club.
Yeah, they really laid down a mark here, haven't they? That's a very confident performance that they put in. Strong off the start, really very aggressive off the start, and they were sort of half a length up by the end of the island and really out to clear water pretty early. So that is Tyne Amateur Rowing Club crossing the line first, and they'll be very pleased with that day at the office. Minerva Bath coming through now, threw everything they could into the race. A good row by them, but they really were not a match for Tyne. So that's a win in the Thames Challenge Cup for Tyne Rowing Club against Minerva.